tell you what, I'm probably going to be packing up my house, and I'm going to be putting boxes in, like, on top of boxes, and something's going to hit me, and I'm not going to have my notebook because it's going to be in a damn box. That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you now. I'm calling it now. All right. I am not sure how this is framed. We're gonna hope it's fine. I don't know how this audio is, but you're just gonna have to deal with it. I know myself. I know myself really well. I kind of realized what went wrong in part 1, and we're going to amend that today. I think what happened was I was kind of plotting and brainstorming the way that I typically do, the way that has always worked for me. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, to kind of go with what works and what has always worked, what probably will always work, is figuring out plot, figuring out argument if I'm doing my nonfiction. This is typically how I brainstorm, typically how I work, and it almost always works out for me. Almost. If you are new around here and don't know what I'm talking about, hi, I'm Vivian. It's nice to meet you. This is part 2 of a series that I'm doing on a short story that I'm writing about a magic tea shop. Part 1, if you are wanting to know more, has a more detailed study of what the actual, like, idea is. But in that first part, I kind of didn't achieve anything. I was trying to work out the plot of the short story and I got nowhere. And I realized probably what went wrong was all of this approach that I'm taking. This idea that I was working out the plot logically and from that perspective of kind of what would happen. So a lot of people think that plot is kind of an and then, right? So this is the scenario, and then that happens, and then this other thing happens, and then this third thing happens, or whatever it is, right? And yes, to an extent, but I think it's better to think of plot as because, right? So this is the situation, and because of that, this thing happens. And then because of that, this other thing happens. Saying and then makes it feel like people are acting outside of their personalities, their situations, their contexts. And that's not the reality of the world, right? Like, even if you're given somebody who wants to change the world, wants to save the world, your big hero in, like, epic fantasies, they are still responding in the way that makes sense, right? Like, we have people in our normal life and society that want to change the world, that want to change things, that want to completely, revolt. We have revolutions, right? Like, that happens. These people exist. But they don't come out of the woodwork just, saying stuff, right? Like, they typically have their own experiences. They have their own backgrounds. They have a history and a personality type that all kind of match up to create somebody that would respond to their environment in that way. I'm basically saying all of this because I think that this story is a character study at the end of the day. And normally what I do is I think about a plot that would happen. So given this situation, what would naturally occur? What would be my because of, right? And then when that happens, what would naturally occur? And then I figure out, well, the kind of person who would do this kind of thing in this scenario would probably have this kind of personality or this kind of background or this kind of experience. So that's typically how I work things out logically. That's what I mean when I say that. I think about the because ofs and what would make sense. But I think for this story, it's a character study at the end of the day. It's a slice of life, which means that you are essentially getting a little piece of a person's life, and it's not perhaps over dramatic. It is just what goes on in a person's life, which is a lot of because ofs, right? It's a lot of becauses. And in order to therefore figure out what the because ofs would be, I need to know my character, and I need to start with a fully formed, detailed out character. So that's what we're going to do today. To be fair, I was debating on not doing this, but I cannot be in this house. I cannot be in this house for one more day. I am going insane, and it'll be nice to be somewhere away and not having to think about this at all. So my goal for today is to think of a character and develop a character kind of half separate from the idea of the tea shop, at least at first. And then I want to bring in the tea shop after I've kind of got this character. So like what would they do now? So you've got this character, and because of what do they go into the tea shop? And then because of that, what happens? And that's what I can figure out. But I think in order to get to that, they are entering the tea shop, and then what would unfold, I need to have a character. I need to be leading with character first, and then let that guide the plot logic. So we're going to do that. The way that I normally think about characters is, again, very logically. I think about who they are as people, almost like I'm studying them as an anthropologist. Hi, I'm an anthropologist, in case you didn't know. So I tend to think about them in those lines, like I've studied them. Like I can kind of dig into their whole spiel and kind of what works and what doesn't and why they are the way they are. And I can kind of figure that out. But I do not imagine visually. I have talked about this before. I have aphantasia. I do not imagine visually. I don't have character images in my head. I might know rough ideas of what they look like if their appearance is important to their character. If a certain aspect of their appearance is important to the story, then it's something that I have thought about. So basically what I do is I look at character designs, portrait work, and other just art online, and I gather them as elements of kind of who this person is in my head. So I can then use that as kind of a basis for discussions about appearance. I used to use Pinterest for this. I don't anymore. I use now Cosmos. If you have better ideas, let me know, because that would be cool to have more places to go in order to find these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a coffee shop, because I cannot sit here for much longer. And then we're going to kind of look through photos or through these pictures online in order to figure out who I want to make this character. I kind of have a general idea right now of the vibe that I want, but it's kind of only vibe. It's not really anything more substantiated than that, and it's kind of something that's hard to figure out more directly. So the idea and the hope for today is that we devise a character, we do a really detailed character study, and my kind of pipe dream hope, long-term wish, is that we end today also with an idea of the character arc that I want to explore. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, quick note before I leave. I normally film when I'm at coffee shops from my phone. I know it's not the best quality, but it's less obtrusive to other people. Although I am gonna try to start getting more comfortable with filming with my actual camera in public, but that's for a different day, not today. But basically, I normally use like a little tripod thing that I put my phone on, and I don't know where it is. I think it's somewhere in here. I don't know. I don't know for certain though. So we're gonna do our best. We're doing our best today. That is all we can wish for in life. So bear with me. I'm really sorry. All right, we're back to this very awkward position on the floor. There you are. All right, that was significantly better. Why didn't I do that last time? Oh, okay. Way better, way better, way better. Just, I actually have, I feel like the makings of a plot. I don't have like a full-fledged out story yet. I think I have a main character, and then figuring out who she was made it really easy to suddenly put together, you know, why she was there, what she was doing, kind of all that kind of stuff. I hope you enjoyed meeting Gwendolyn Curtis. I like her. Gwendolyn and Curtis are both family names on my mom's side, so I was really I was really enjoying doing kind of a combo effect of those and thinking about who this person was. The character art that I used is from someone on Instagram. I linked them in the description. Go check out their work. I'm glad that I was able to find the artist because I sometimes can't. And they ended up being like a treasure trove of character designs and stuff like that. So I am now following them on Instagram, and I'm probably going to use their stuff quite a bit. Yeah, so I have kind of a character arc that I want her to go on. I have an idea of what I want her to do. I just need to figure out the specifics. What I'm thinking is that she kind of shows up to the shop and she doesn't really know the specifics of what she's looking for, like the details of it. She's kind of confused. She kind of just went in on a whim and doesn't really have any kind of solid idea of what she wants. And so the proprietor ends up talking to her, and it's the whole story will kind of be the minute she walks into the tea shop to the minute she walks out of the tea shop. So it's just that time frame. So it's kind of like one scene, but that has multi facets going on. And so while she's talking to the proprietor about what she may or may not want out of the shop, what she may or may not order, essentially, other people come in. So the conversation gets interrupted, and she is kind of watching these people come in and seeing what they order and kind of comparing herself to them. And that's kind of what I want the story to be. So it's this kind of insight into her as a character, but also like what she's watching and what she's learning from watching other people. Primarily thinking about how we kind of always compare ourselves to other people. And I find that I do this quite a lot, where it's that idea of, oh, I must not be struggling because I'm not struggling as much as that other person. And so you end up thinking about your own needs in relation to other people's needs and not necessarily what it is genuinely that you need. Like, just because you don't have it as bad as somebody else doesn't mean that you don't have needs and wants and you don't need help, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking of exploring, is kind of her struggle to figure out her own issues because she keeps comparing herself to other people. And I think I know how I want it to end, but I'm not positive yet. And I think sometimes you start writing and then you find out that the ending that you had kind of plotted isn't where you're going. So I don't want to stick too close to it, but I'm going to kind of plot roughly along those lines. I don't have any ideas yet of the people who come in. It'll probably be rule of threes, right? That's typically how it works, where you get 3 interruptions. We'll see. We'll see how it works. I'm gonna kind of plot that out, I think, next. And then we're gonna start writing. And some of that plotting might happen as I write, because sometimes you just kind of need to get started and see what happens and where it takes you and what's going on. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just start writing and see what happens. I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm sorry for this very impromptu part 2. This really should be part 1, like, again. Part 1, this time correctly. Something like that. So yeah, I don't know. But thanks for bearing with me in this very chaotic moment of me quickly throwing together something when my brain is kind of half functioning right now. Hopefully, I will be getting back to you soon in a new office, in a new space, hopefully with some fresh ideas. So I will see you next time. Bye!